Welcome to all the classic car enthusiasts, the Minis and the Jaguars. I just wanted to go over a little bit that I finished with yesterday. We were talking about the putting the front end on the Minis, and you know, if you're just methodical about the way you do it, it really isn't a problem. The Mini is probably one of the most, it's probably one of the easiest cars to restore because of its sectional, the way it's actually put together. I mean, basically it's four sides, a bottom and a roof, and that's why the construction was very easy and why they were so cheap to make. And as I say, if you go along and just try and use some common sense, you know, if something doesn't look right, it's probably because it's not. So if something doesn't seem quite right, walk away from it, have a think about it, or talk to somebody else and maybe try and get another opinion, because it's very easy to think, oh no, it does definitely go that way, and the next thing you know, you've put the piece in and you really needed to put another section in before you did that one. So it's always something to bear in mind. I just wanted to go over it now. While I've been away, Amir's done quite a lot of work to the Mini, and he's been working on this chassis, which I'm going to pick up the camera and show you in a minute. But just to reiterate a few things, I wanted to show you this. And if you look at this door skin, this is the door skin. They've both been replaced, but this is the door skin from the other side. You might have noticed yesterday it's red, and I'll show you. So I'll bring the camera in and I'll just show you this door skin, and you might say, well, you know, it's not in that bad condition. There's a couple of holes down the bottom here, and it doesn't look that bad. Generally, you got to remember this has been ripped off, so obviously it's bent and pulled around there. But here you would say, well, what's wrong with that? It's pretty good. It just needs a couple of bits of filler in it. And that looks in reasonably good shape. I'll pull that back a little bit so you can see that the other way. So you can see that looks not too bad, and I'm sure a lot of people would have filled that. And the problem with rust is, as everybody knows, it's like cancer. Once it starts, it grows and grows. And you know, unless you do something about it very quickly, it'll just get worse and worse. And you can imagine if you'd gone to the trouble of repairing this, or on the outside of the door anyway, and then filled it, whatever you were going to do to it, and then paint it. It's a lot of money involved, and then very, very quickly it starts to bubble again, because that's exactly what will happen. So I'll turn it around and I'll just show you the difference. Now, if you look inside, you can see there that the main part of the panel looks pretty good, and these panels are actually good for doing repairs. You can use them for small repairs, but if you look here, hopefully that's showing up at the top here, you can see how bad the corrosion is in there. Right where the wing mirror goes, you can see it's rotten here, and all the way along here, and absolutely rotten there too, just above the door. And this is because what's happened is where the seal was, the water's getting in behind it. And if you're ever going to check a Mini out to buy it, if you can get the seals out, or you can see that there's corrosion in there, it's a bit of a warning to show you. Also, you can see at the bottom how bad the corrosion is here. Okay, obviously where the holes were, and along the side. Because they didn't put any rust treatment in them, they were very bad they were very prone to rusting, and you can see how bad that is. You could have patched that from the outside, but within a few months, I'm fairly sure that, let me take this, if I can pop it this way on and show you that. I don't know if that's going to show up better or not. Let me try and bring that in again. Well, we'll see if we can pull the other in. Okay. So, as I said, you can see there on that top corner there, that hopefully that will show up, that corner there, that corner, all basically on every edge, how bad the corrosion is in there. And again, you can see it there. It was really bad on the bottom. And as I say, the door skin looked quite reasonable, and there's a lot of cars, I'll pull this back out, and there's a lot of cars like this, a lot of Minis where, you know, the doors look reasonably good, but underneath it's in quite poor shape. So it's something to look for. There are a bit of work to do, but they're well worth doing, because this is one of the problems with Minis is the doors get affected quite badly. The doors, the A, the B pillars, and the floors and seals are the main issues, and obviously the rear subframe area where water, so basically a water trap on a Mini. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick the camera up and I'll show you around a few other bits and pieces and what we're up to. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but once again we're off on another break for 2 weeks in about a week's time, and unfortunately what's happening is I'm, you know, when Amir's here I'm not in. There's a lot of stuff to do. This is why we can't get on with a Volkswagen, because we need 2 of us to pick up those stainless steel sheets. They're extremely heavy, and if they catch your hand they're like a guillotine. And that's why the Volkswagen we haven't kind of revisited for a while, but we will when I get back, because I need it to start laying the new pathway or the new driveway down to the garages at the bottom of the garden, where we're going to do all our metal work, sandblasting and so on and so forth. So I'll catch you in a minute. So a couple of quick close-up shots of this rust I was talking about. You can see how bad that rust is all the way along there. You know, they're right in the corners. This is obviously where it's been peeled back. Here it was particularly bad. You could never get to that section there. And very bad in the corner too. Yeah, the protection was quite bad, and that was the British Leyland or Rover. There was only a bit of soundproofing that they put in, and it wasn't really, well, it was soundproofing, but it was more for vibration because the doors rattled very badly. What we like to do is fill the whole door with it. So, going on, this is the gearbox for the second XK, and these bolts, some were bought from a friend of mine, Ian. He got them from me in Aberdeen, and some he made. And what I'm going to do now is just double check them for torque, and then I'll set up the release bearing, the thrust bearing on this and the arm, and clean it up, and then I can put it onto this. So as you know, this is our XK115. This is a brand new chassis. It's brand new to the car. Obviously it's about two years old now. I think it was made 2.5 years ago, and I bought it when the prices were very reasonable. Now they've doubled in price. I think I paid £2,200 for that chassis, and I believe they're now £5,000. So it just shows you, if you're doing a restoration over a period of time, it's probably good to buy some of the stuff earlier on. Anyway, as you can see, the steering rack is on. I've got to take it back off again, because on the bottom of this steering rack down here, it needs to be lock wide, like aircraft locking wire, but we wanted to make sure it all fitted up first. So this car, hopefully, over the weekend I'm going to try and get it running, so hopefully by Monday I can have it running. What I will do is take the prop shaft off, because that's not staying with the car, and as I went over before, you can't have 2 shafts. You've got a sliding sleeve here, as you can see there, and a sliding sleeve on the back of the gearbox. So what we'll end up with is a solid prop shaft, remade, a rebuilt one, and balanced, and just that tail shaft there will be able to move. So I'll take that off before I run the car, and I'll get this electronic distributor and everything sorted out, and get some fuel to it and get it running. On this car, you can see now that the chassis is black. Everything was stripped back off it, and it was all cleaned back. All the issues that were on the edges here are all gone. It's beautiful and smooth now. And on there, it was awful. It looked like peppered all the way over. It would have been hit with a 12-bore shotgun. Anyway, it's all done. He's put it back up together. As you can see, at the moment the engine is sitting on the block there, because what I need to do now is marry up the gearbox, as the rear mountings for the engine and box are there. So everything's all brand new, and the covers on this are away at the moment. The cam covers have been I think they call it electro polished. Apparently some process, I don't really know very much about it, but the chap who owns the car knows a guy in Czechia that's going to do it, and then he's done it with his car, and then if the results are good, then I'll do the covers on mine. Although they are fairly good, but they do need a good buffing up. Sometimes you're going to be a bit overzealous with these things, but they do look nice when they've got a bit of bling on them. You know, the car should look nice and sound good, and run extremely well, which is the most important factor. But it's nice when you open the bonnet and there's that extra bit of woo, you know, wow behind it. So that's what we're up to. And another thing I didn't show on the Mini yesterday, you might have seen it in the background, is this issue here. This has all been sandblasted, as you can see along here, which seems pretty good. There's a little back problem with a dent there, and you can see there's some problems here, a few rust holes. Here it's pretty solid, and here's a problem. So what I'll do is I'll get these re-welded in, and then lead load it and clean it all up. And they didn't come totally apparent until we start to sandblast it. Also in the back was sandblasted, all of it. Unfortunately you won't be able to see much. I'll get a light on it later and you can see it. But all that's been done. It was all cleaned. There was a little slight surface rust on it from where it's been sat for a few years. And that's all done. And the next job will be to do the inside of the floor pan, just under where the heel board comes. We're going to sandblast inside there before we put the body shuts on it, or the stone chip on it. So, and that's where we're at. So, and maybe this weekend I might, since it's still lovely weather here, it's still in the 30s, well 28s, 29s, maybe I'll take the old E-Type out for a spin. Be nice. It needs a serious clean though. Look at the dust on that. Look at that. Oh my god. So yeah, maybe I'll take her out for a spin, because we haven't used her much this year, and it's not good for it to sit too long. Anyway, so that's it for today. So stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and I'll catch you maybe the day after tomorrow when I try and start getting these engines sorted out. I will try and film it, and so you can see what we're up to. So take care, bye.